Hello, ladies and gentlemen. In this video, I would like to talk to you about traveling in the developing world and living off your Bitcoin, and give you the method I have implemented in my own life in anticipation of doing exactly that. Many of you are young and interested in traveling the world. I understand. I too have the travel bug and have been traveling over the past 5 years independently, mostly to Thailand, the land of smiles, the place where I've had the very best and the very worst times of my life. The problem, of course, is how to finance our independent travels, not just in terms of money, but also in terms of time. Most of you young, and in my case not so young, people would currently be trading your time for money in a salaried position. And as we all know, that leaves you time poor and just over broke for the most part after you pay all of your bills. In Australia, we get 4 weeks paid annual leave, and for many of us, including myself, this is not enough to achieve our travel dreams. I hear those of you in America only get 2 weeks annual leave. You have less vacation time than workers in any other advanced economy. I feel for you. I really do. That really sucks. Anyway, I think I've seen a possible solution to our shared problem in Bitcoin. At the rate Bitcoin has been increasing in value, I posit that it's possible, instead of spending money now on travel, you instead use that money to buy up as much Bitcoin as you can get your hands on, and then you play the waiting game for a year. I recently bought 2.5 Bitcoins. When I started buying in July 2017, the value of each Bitcoin was $2,907 Australian. The price as of today, 4th of November 2017, as quoted on coinspot.com.au, is now 10,280 Australian dollars, or over 3.5 times my initial investment. 3.5 times in 3 months. That's simply incredible. John McAfee in July of this year predicted that 1 Bitcoin will be worth $500,000 American in just 3 years' time. That's over 653,000 Australian dollars. That would give Bitcoin a market cap of $12 trillion by July of 2020. In one of his other predictions, based on his doctorate in point set topology, he put the price of Bitcoin at 2.43 million US in 3 years, which is 3.17 million Australian. That would make my 2.5 Bitcoins worth almost $8 million. If I had to guess, I would say these numbers are wildly optimistic. But let's imagine McAfee is right for this first prediction of $500,000 US in 3 years. In my numbers, we don't hit a $12 trillion Bitcoin market cap until around October 2020. And that's close to McAfee's prediction. So he's probably used the same methodology I have in using the past performance as a predictor of future performance. Of course, this is something that is never guaranteed, so be mindful of this. I've calculated that Bitcoin has been increasing at a rate of 0.42% per day in recent years, and at that rate of increase, by the 3rd of November 2018, my 2.5 Bitcoins could be worth over 113,000 Australian dollars. I can live in Thailand quite comfortably off of just $2,500 a month, which is $30,000 a year. If Bitcoin keeps increasing as fast as it has been over the last few years, then it will be possible to live a perpetual traveler lifestyle off of my Bitcoin in record time. Using words like quick, fast, easy, turnkey, and the like. These are the words of the get-rich-quick guru, the scam artist, the pyramid scheme marketer, the Amway or the multi-level marketer. You know the type. But Bitcoin is different. Oops. What's the most dangerous words in investing? This time, it's different. But hang on a moment. This really is different. This is a whole new paradigm, a new asset class, So we must be open-minded, but also cautious, rational and analytical, but also skeptical. This isn't one of those shady pyramid schemes, nor is it the trapezoid. As life has taught us, many people are full of shit, but with Bitcoin, we don't need to put our trust in people or in institutions anymore. In cryptography, we trust. I'll say it again. In cryptography, we trust. The problem we have, of course, is how to spend our Bitcoins in the developing world. This is why I opened an account with coinjar.com.au and ordered a Bitcoin debit card. I simply send my Bitcoin from my Bitcoin wallet on my computer to my account at Coinjar, and from there transfer the Bitcoin onto my Bitcoin debit card. I'm then able to use this EFTPOS debit card anywhere in Australia that accepts EFTPOS. I can swipe my card to pay for products and services, or I can use it at ATMs to withdraw paper currency. At the moment, however, the card does not have access to the international Maestro network, so I can't take cash out on it in Thailand, but I'm told that this functionality will be coming soon. To me, this is a very important application, and I'm eagerly awaiting this functionality as I consider it part of the key to my ticket to freedom. Now, it's still very early days with Bitcoin, and that's why this opportunity is currently available to those of you who are paying close attention. So listen up, as class is in session. Digital assets like Bitcoin are a new kind of asset class. We need to adjust our thinking based on the economics of this new asset class. The humble rules of mathematics, of course, still apply, and exponential growth, of course, cannot go on forever. But the next 5 to 10 years for Bitcoin are looking very promising indeed, due to the fact that Bitcoin users are doubling every year for the most part, so we should be including in our thinking of Bitcoin Metcalfe's law, as well as Moore's law. Metcalfe's law states that the value of a telecommunications network is proportional to the square of the number of connected users of the system. Moore's law is the observation that the number of transistors in a dense integrated circuit doubles approximately every 2 years. Others have drawn comparisons to the growth of Bitcoin and these two important laws. We may very well look back on the prices of Bitcoin today with astonishment that they were so low. Do not underestimate compound growth. What did this guy say about that back in the day? Compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it. Compound interest is the most powerful force in the universe. So here is my solution to living the perpetual traveler lifestyle using Bitcoin. Number 1, buy as much Bitcoin as you can afford, but not more than you can afford to lose. 2, get yourself a Bitcoin debit card. 3, if you have 2.5 Bitcoins like I do, wait for Bitcoin to increase to a $620 billion market cap and for your Bitcoin to be worth around $100,000, so you've got some runway. Remember, time is money, and money buys you time. 4, wait for the Maestro cash withdrawal functionality to be enabled for you to withdraw cash from your Bitcoin debit card from ATMs in the developing world. Make sure this functionality is available before you take off. If it's not available, you'll have to use a standard bank-issued debit card and transfer your Bitcoin from your coinjar account into your linked bank account. You should be able to do this now. 5, take annual leave or a leave of absence from your job and take flight. 6, arrive in the developing world destination of your choice. If you see this man in Thailand, steer clear of him. He gives people dangerous ideas. 7, transfer Bitcoin from your computer Bitcoin wallet to your coinjar account and from there onto your Bitcoin debit card. 8, start withdrawing cash from your Bitcoin debit card, enough for you to live month to month whilst letting the bulk of your Bitcoin grow. 9, rejoice in your escape from Cubicle Nation. otherwise known as office space, and give yourself a pat on the back for leading the way on this, whilst everyone else is asleep or trying to understand exactly what's going on. 10. Send in your letter of resignation. Up to you whether you do it Cool Hand Luke style or not. We're extremely fortunate to be living at this stage of human development, at the dawn of the age of cryptocurrencies. This really is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to get in before the thundering herd, the masses of humanity, and especially before the institutional or smart money comes in. We can ride the Bitcoin growth wave upwards. Let's not delude ourselves, however, that the upward trend will last forever. As I've said, the humble rules of mathematics still apply, so be optimistic as well as realistic in your expectations. And remember that the risks are still high, and you're taking a risk if you follow what I'm doing here. Remember, what the wise man does in the beginning, the fool does in the end. We're nowhere near the end with this. We really are just getting started. How long can your perpetual traveler lifestyle, otherwise known as bumming around the world, last? A long time. Think about it. If you're only withdrawing $2,500 a month to live off for the first year, then $2,600 a month for the next year, $2,800 a month the year after, and so on, and the price of Bitcoin continues to rise at 0.42% per day, which is 11.76% per month. As each month goes by, you're making a lot more money than you're spending. Even if we assume Bitcoin makes it to a $12 billion market cap and no more, the value of your capital will top out around $1.6 million in October 2020. Even if you converted all your Bitcoin to fiat currency at that point and stuck it in an index fund, that's enough to give you a 4% return in income, which is $80,000 a year, or $6,666 a month. Look at that. 666, the mark of the devil. Fascinating. Maybe that's a sign to take tax into consideration and pay your fair share. I've not taken tax into consideration in this video. Make sure that you do. And look up the Nomad Capitalist as well. You may find even more freedom by combining my approach here with Andrew Henderson's flag theory approach. I like his idea. Go where you're treated best. Remember, Bitcoin is not in a bubble at the moment. Nowhere near it. Look at this pie graph I created. Those numbers of Bitcoin wallets are minuscule in comparison to the number of people in the world who are on the internet. They will all ultimately need a digital currency. Bitcoin's in the lead. It's probably going to be Bitcoin they turn to. Think of the example of internet check-in that airlines use. Despite this function being introduced 15 years ago, you still see people lining up at the traditional check-in line when they could just whip out their smartphone, check in, then walk right through the empty internet check-in line. Bitcoin, a bubble now? I think not. Wake me up in 20 years if I'm still around. Bitcoin has ultimately shown the world what the separation of money and state looks like. This is a milestone for society. Don't underestimate it. It's given many people the idea that government can be separated from literally everything. This can be seen with the popularity of blockchain-based voting models, distributed autonomous organizations, and many more concepts that remove third-party interference. The idea of becoming a perpetual traveler is slowly becoming an acceptable practice, and Bitcoin can help promote this philosophy. Anyway, that's it from me today. Do me a favor, send me a small donation in Bitcoin for opening your mind about this opportunity, and remember, this advice that I got from my father. There are two types of people in this world, Clarke. The quick and the dead. All the best, everyone. I'm Clarke Towson, CEO of INTJ. I'll leave you with John McAfee's Bitcoin prediction.
Our next guest doesn't believe that Bitcoin is a bubble. In fact, he says the cryptocurrency could soar to, get this, $500,000 in 3 years. The always controversial John McAfee joins us now. John, great to speak with you.
Great to speak with you. Thanks for having me on.
How do you get to $500,000 in 3 years?
Well, let's not worry about that. Let's worry about people calling
you got
the
a
bubble.
bet going online on that.
Yes, I do. People are calling Bitcoin a bubble that's bursting. Keep in mind that 2 months ago, Bitcoin is at $2,900, and people were saying it's never going to hit 3. Well, it hit 4 and it hit 5. If you look at the long-term trend of Bitcoin, it has been consistently up. I mean, who cares that it dropped $1,000 from $5,000 after it went from the $2,900 to $5,000 in 2 months? It's still ahead from what it was 2 months ago. You know, my company is one of the largest miners in America, and one of the nice things about mining is it doesn't matter what the price of Bitcoin is. We still make money. As the price goes down, there are fewer competitors for mining, and the difficulty rate decreases, and we simply mine more coins. So I know as well as anybody what the price of Bitcoin is, and it is consistently increasing.
I understand.
You're going, oh, wow, the bubble's burst. Go ahead.
You know, Jamie Dimon was very clear yesterday that he's a big fan of the blockchain technology, and most people actually who even, you know, call Bitcoin overvalued or what have you, they are believers as well in the blockchain technology. These are two separate issues. So why is that Bitcoin necessarily has to rise to these heights because you're a believer in blockchain? As you do, as you believe.
Well, no, I don't think that the that the Bitcoin rise has anything to do with the belief in the blockchain.
Okay.
It simply has to do with the belief in cryptocurrencies. I mean, once you start using cryptocurrencies, whether it's Bitcoin or Monero or Litecoin, it doesn't really matter. You see the facility, you see the ease of use, you see that without a central bank control, the value of that currency depends upon the users of that currency. And why is Bitcoin growing so fast? Because it's getting more users. More people are believing. If I do a transaction with a credit card, I have to put in my name, my address, my credit card number, the code on the back, my billing address. Well, that takes 5 or 10 minutes, especially for someone my age. But with Bitcoin, it's 15 seconds. Give me your wallet address, here's the amount, done. Once you see the facility of cryptocurrencies, once you see how fast they are transacted, then suddenly fiat currencies, credit cards, central banks make no sense whatsoever.
Maybe it's too easy, though, John. I mean, how do you... I'm sure the government would like to track where this Bitcoin is going, and they would love to tax people on this. And so if you use Bitcoin, you may not have that sort of paper trail, so to speak, as to where people are making revenues or earning money. So are you concerned that government intervention in some way could actually slow this down?
Well, it can slow it down, but there will be government intervention. Why? Because as people start using more and more cryptocurrencies, things like Monero, which cannot be tracked at all, when they start using these things, suddenly governments are going to start losing income tax revenues. And they're going to panic, and they're going to say, this is against the law. But how do you stop something that cannot be stopped? I mean, this is not something unique to America where you can just shut it down. I mean, I can use the Tor browser or the Onion browser and access Bitcoin wallets all over the world, and no one will ever know. The government does not have enough enforcement personnel to ever stop Bitcoin, Monero, Litecoin, and all of the others. So they're going to have to face reality, find some other way to raise revenues. This is a fact.
So, John, I got to ask you, because most people know you as a cybersecurity pioneer. They know the firm that is named after you. In between that time and now, you had a very interesting life. And actually, some reports say that, you know, it's the insane life of John McAfee, that you once lived in Belize, which is true, allegedly got caught up with drugs and other illegal activities. Bitcoin has a bad rap of being used in the underground. That's why people want to use it, because they want to conceal nefarious activity. Do you see that potential? Are you concerned about that as attracting government regulation?
No, not at all. I mean, I'm still a security specialist, and I keep track of the dark web. Bitcoin is very seldom used anymore on the dark web. It has been replaced by Monero as the currency of choice, because Monero is absolutely anonymous, cannot be tracked, either sender or receiver of any transaction. They're literally invisible. So it's not Bitcoin itself, but cryptocurrencies as a general group of things that are being used on the dark web, and that will always be the case. Bitcoin used to be the one because that was the only one available, but not anymore. So Bitcoin is sort of out of the dark web and into the light, and 99.99% of its use is legitimate.
So, you know, John, I don't know if you know about this, but, you know, Jamie Dimon watches the show pretty frequently. He's probably listening to you right now. I mean, do you have any words for him as to why he's got it wrong? I mean, would you want to place that same bet that you made on the internet with Jamie Dimon, for instance?
No, I would like to say this, Mr. Dimon. I respect you, sir, for your position. You know, people who rise to your position are not idiots. However, sir, what is, you called Bitcoin a fraud. I'm a Bitcoin miner. We create the Bitcoins. It costs over $1,000 per coin to create a Bitcoin. What does it cost to create a US dollar? Which one is the fraud? Because it costs whatever the paper costs. But it costs me and other miners over $1,000 per coin. It's called proof of work. We have put massive amounts of computing power and electricity in creating these coins. Surely there's some value in that work that we did to create the coin. And the fact that Bitcoin is consistently growing in its use and in its value has to say something. You know, sure, it will rise and fall, and it is highly volatile, as all new technologies are.
Right.
And at the same time, it is certainly not a fraud.
So you're pretty sure that you're not going to lose this bet that you have on Twitter?
No, I don't ever lose bets. Sorry for my bets.
All right, then. John McAfee, great to speak with you. Thank you.